I was reading this morning something pretty fascinating. There is a new poll out from the Wall Street Journal analyzing the midterm elections and more. And there are many different aspects of this poll that are getting a lot of attention. But the biggest is that Republicans in the Wall Street Journal poll have opened up a 5-point lead in the congressional midterm elections, which is a seismic gap relative to the historical Wall Street Journal poll. And where is that gain coming from? I flagged this because I thought it was so interesting where that gain. Again, Republicans with a 5-point lead. Usually Republicans have a little bit of a deficit overall in the congressional numbers. But where's the gain coming from? In the new poll, compared to in November, Hispanic voters now say that they would back Republicans by 9 points. Now, assuming, again, I understand all the reticence and nervousness associated with polls in general, but Republicans have surged among minority groups, according to this Wall Street Journal poll. 9 percentage point favorites now among Hispanic voters. The two parties were tied in the Journal survey in November, and black voters have also moved into the Republican camp as it pertains to Congress, down from, they had a 56-point lead, Democrats did. It's now down to 35 points, and Republican candidate support among black voters has risen to 27%, which, by the way, if Republicans ever got 27% of the black vote, the Democratic Party, as we know it, ceases to exist. And it may cease to exist if we end up with a favorite in the Hispanic vote. But that 27% of black support is up from 12% in November. Buck, do you buy these moves in terms of, I was just saying, the 5-point lead now, the Wall Street Journal says, that Republicans have overall in the congressional race, which we're talking about 1994, 2010 level dominance trending right now based on those numbers, if we always have to say they're accurate.
If not now, when?
Yeah.
If it wasn't true, given what we are seeing, and as we pointed out so many times, it's almost hard to find an area where the Biden administration has a compelling narrative of anything other than incompetence, bad decision-making, and things going poorly. You can't actually find anything prominent right now to speak of where you'd say, oh, no, they've done a great job with, or, wow, that actually worked out like they said it would. We can't really criticize that. That actually benefited the American people. That doesn't really exist with this administration. Clay, we are, just to reiterate, we're having serious talks right now as a country about how do we avoid a full-scale military confrontation with a nuclear-armed Russia. Remember all the hysteria when Trump was president? He's going to start a war with North Korea. We're going to have news. He's going to, and everyone just looked at them like, what are you even talking about? I mean, it was Fantasyland stuff that they were pushing. This is real, and this is happening on Biden's watch. The economy is going to get, if this war continues for months, and it's certainly looks like it's going to continue for weeks, but if it continues for months, we're gonna feel economic impact here, because a lot of it's all driven by, the markets are all driven by fear and greed, they say, right? Essentially sentiment. How do people think this is going to go? What do they believe corporate profits will be like, economic stability will look like in 6 months and 12 months? If this war drags on, people are going to have more negative, I'm just talking about the economy now, negative sentiment. The economy is going to suffer as a result of it. Inflation is going to go higher, and people are going to see what that does to their ability to pay their bills, what it does to their 401ks. What exactly would anyone have to be thankful about? No mean tweets. We don't get as many lectures about the make-believe threat of the white nationalist takeover of the White House. I mean, is this is what we're supposed to be thankful for? We're worried about nuclear war and the implosion of the U.S. economy into a recession, and they want to tell us, don't worry, we're doing great stuff on climate change and, gender identity and equal pay for women. This is what I mean by these people are unserious but serious in their destruction.
What is significant, I believe, is the Republicans have the better message. And they don't just have the better message for white voters. They have the better message for Hispanic, Asian, and black voters, too. What the Democrats have is an apparatus to allow their distorted message to be widely distributed. And I think what is starting to happen, this is why the red pill discussion has such metaphorical cogency. Many people out there are now aware that they aren't getting truthful reporting. And I think many of those people are like me. Now, I came in, 7, 8 years ago, but I think many people are becoming aware. They know that they're not being spoken to honestly. And what you've seen happen in Hispanic voters is pretty extraordinary. I don't think it's getting enough attention. Down in South Texas, that was a Democratic stronghold for generations. And now what Trump did, I think, is explode it and make people start to question what they've been told. And suddenly down in South Texas, and this carried forward in the midterms, in the primary as well, there is a mass appeal for Republicans. And if this Wall Street Journal poll is accurate, I think that it's going to require, and this is what I predicted has been going to happen for a while, 2022 and 2024 are going to destroy the Democratic Party. And they are going to have to go back to the drawing board and recognize that cancel culture and identity politics, which is the foundation of their entire party, is not going to work, not only for white voters, but it's not going to work for Hispanic, Asian, or black voters either. And then we end up in a brand new political universe. And that's where I think we're headed for. I'm an optimist. I think the Democrats are going to get blown up in 22 and 24. And by 2026, we're in an entirely different world.
Yeah, the Biden commies don't even do socialism well. Who could have thought?